What's going on, everybody? All right, we had a super fun weekend on Friday. I went out to the Yankee game against the Oakland A's, Sacramento A's. If you're not aware, the A's are playing in Sacramento this year in the minor league stadium for the River Cats, which has been a AAA team for quite a few years, maybe 20 years now. And the Yankees were in town. So I headed over to the field with my dad and my brother, and we watched some Yankee baseball in Sacramento, believe it or not. Aaron Judge, first pitch that he saw, he hit off the wall for a double. Jason Dominguez had 3 home runs, one of which was a grand slam. In fact, 3 consecutive at-bats. He hit a grand slam. Yankees won easily. I think it ended up being 10-2, if I'm not mistaken. We had a lot of fun at the game. That was outstanding. And then on Saturday, we had a soccer game for Lucy. Her last home game ever. Her last club home game ever was on Saturday. They actually lost 3-2 from a team out of Reno. But Lucy had both of her team's goals. She had a great game once again. And then Sunday, Mother's Day. How could that not be great? Where we get an opportunity to honor the important ladies that either birthed us or birthed our children. What a wonderful day that is, and a good opportunity for us to stay remembering the people that are most important to us. So I hope that you had a great Mother's Day. I hope that there is a mother in your life that you were able to celebrate that with. Now, last week, I asked you all, what are some of the biggest issues ahead of us in the hobby? There are lots of good things. There are lots of bad things. There are lots of things that might be coming. Now, see, I'm a planner. Greg, why would you ask a question like this? The reason I ask this question is because as a planner, as a person who is focused on the future, I'm always trying to put myself in a situation where the future is better. And so if I can see an obstacle coming down the road, I try to prepare for it. I've tried to save for my college accounts for my kids. I've tried to save for wedding accounts for my kids. I've tried to save for cars when it was time for them to get a car, and save for a house, and save for retirement. And I'm constantly thinking about what's going to happen in the future, probably so much so that I sometimes neglect the present. But even in this hobby, because this hobby is so special to many of us, I think it's a good exercise to, from time to time, take a deep breath, look around, say what's happening well, and what are some possible issues that are coming so that we can prepare for them. If there are some economic issues coming, isn't it good to have a savings account? If there's going to be a big storm this weekend, shouldn't we clear out our gutters on our roofs? Those are the sorts of things that I like to do. And so there are probably some storms on the horizon on the hobby front that I'm not aware of. And some of you might be. So I thought it would be a good discussion to share some things that we think are potential problems in the hobby's future so that we could possibly prepare for those that might be coming. And I thought I knew what the biggest issue was. And I had said, we all know, we all agree that the gambling aspect in cards, the current thing where everything is gambling, it's breaks, it's buying a spot, it's did you get the big hit? Did you get the case hit? Whatever it is. Well, tried to hold that cough off. Didn't happen. Like trying to hold off a sneeze. It's inevitable. Just let it happen. So I thought I knew that it was gambling. And then I read my buddy Dan's comment. Dan of Dan's Vintage Baseball PC. Let me read to you what Dan said, because I thought that the biggest problem in the hobby was the gambling component. I was quickly proven wrong when I read Dan's comment. So let me read this to you here. He says, the biggest issue that needs to be addressed in the hobby is slab bags. When you open up a slab bag, to insert a slab, you have to remove a paper-thin piece of plastic to seal the bag. And that evil piece of plastic sticks to your fingers, sticks to everything that comes near it, and cannot be properly disposed. That piece of plastic is the worst thing in the hobby, and a solution needs to be found. Now, if you're not sure what he's talking about these. He's talking about these things. These little plastic things that then they get attached. They attach to your hands because when you pull them off, they've got that electronic thing, where they stick to things. They've got the, it's like when they used to take the balloon in elementary school and you rub it to your head and then you put it on your chest and it would just stay there. Electromatic, I don't know what it's. You guys, science people would know. I don't know what it's called. These things are awful and you can't get rid of them. And they're everywhere. I said, I know exactly what he's talking about. I bet I have some in my little hobby area where I keep my supplies. So I opened up my little supply. I have like a little tub. They were everywhere. These are just some of them. They're the worst thing ever. So he's actually right. That is the worst. That is the biggest issue in the hobby. Are these little plastic things are the worst thing in the hobby. And I don't know what we're going to do about it. I mean, I just don't know what we're going to do about it. So you're right. They're awful. They need to be removed forever. I just don't know how we're going to do it. So those things have got to go. But for all the other stuff that remains, let's talk about those here. Hey, Greg, another group of interesting opinions. For next week's question, I will again take a potentially controversial stance. I think hobby negativity is the next issue in the community. Many in the community seem to have lost the joy that they had in the hobby. 3 weeks after the Strongsville Vintage Show, and yes, some great cards were bought, and the trade show is a huge success, but more often than not, the conversation ends up being about the hotel or the possibility of the show outgrowing the arena and how it would have a negative impact. The only positive topic about the show has been about either Scott at Reindeer Studios artwork or Mookie's amazing satchel acquisition. Grading reveal videos tend to focus on the negative aspects of a card or the opinion that the card was undergraded, not to mention the near universal dislike of the grading companies that tend to show up in videos. Auction videos or card purchase videos end up focusing on the amount of money in the hobby or crazy prices. It seems like there's always a topic to get the collectors worked up about. And I realize, just like network news, the negative is what gets clicks, but I don't have to be happy about it. I do understand that bringing hobby news may mean negative news, and asking opinions about topics can bring negative opinions. That isn't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how we bash and apologize for our own cards instead of being happy about them. I'm talking about the temptation to think that a content creator is flexing when showing off their collection instead of asking ourselves, do we like to show our cards to other people and to anyone willing to look at them? We all like to show off our cards because we're excited to have them. I have not been to big regional shows, and my LCS doesn't have a Wilson Franks Ted Williams card, or a 47 Bond Bred Jackie card, or a T227 Cobb card. I'm happy to see evidence that they exist in the wild and not just in the books. I think many of us, myself definitely included, need to remind ourselves that this is just a hobby. It is supposed to be fun. So, there are two types of people in this world, my friend. There are the positive people, there are the negative people. There are the glass half full and the glass half empty. And some of us fall into each bucket. Some of us are in each category. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I shared that we planted a garden. My daughter Molly and I went out. My wife was out there for a little bit. We planted a garden of vegetables and herbs and spices and things. And you know what we've been talking about the most out in the garden is the rosemary. We've been talking about the rosemary. Now, have we been talking about the rosemary because we love rosemary? No. We've been talking about the rosemary because the rosemary doesn't look like it's doing that well right now. Now, the tomatoes are doing fantastic. The zucchini and the squash are killing it. The mint looks fantastic. The basil is just it's just amazing. But that rosemary plant, we think we might lose that rosemary. So each day when we take a look at it and we go out and we water it, we say, how's the rosemary doing? I don't know. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and you're right. When we show a card that's awesome, it's well-centered, it's got honest Mike Petty corners, it's got a beautiful image, and it has a crease. One of the first things we point out is the crease. Why do we point out the crease instead of all the beautiful components about it? All the things we love about it that made us buy it. Why do we focus on the crease? Well, isn't it because we want it to be perfect and that's the part of it that's not perfect for us? I don't know. It's like the rosemary. It's like the rosemary that's struggling right now, guys. That rosemary is struggling. But we never talk about the squash, and we never talk about the tomatoes, even though they are growing like crazy. I think, and this is something that I say to so I was I don't know if I've mentioned this many times, but at my high school, I was the golf coach for 8 years. And what I say to my students is I say, you need to identify your weakness. And the reason why you need to identify your weakness is because if you could take that weakness, the weakest part of your golf game, and make it your strength, if you could take your weakest thing and make it your strongest thing, imagine how good you'd be. If you are awful off the tee and you become the best player off the tee in the league, imagine how much you would improve. If you were a terrible putter and became the best putter in the league, imagine how good you would be then. Sometimes when you're looking at ways to improve in things, what you do is you look at the weakest point and you focus on the weakest point. You know, when you were in school growing up, if you weren't good at math, I bet your parents asked, or somebody asked, or maybe they didn't, I don't know, if not, I'm sorry. But they probably said, how'd the math test go? Because everybody's always kind of worried about the math test because math isn't our thing. Some of us, math is our thing, but maybe we're not a very good writer. Did you get your grade on your essay yet? Because that's the weak point. That's the thing we're most concerned about. I kind of think it's human nature. I kind of think it's human nature to look at our weaknesses because that's the part that bothers us, because that's the part that's not great. But you're right. I mean, you're right. I'm not disagreeing. I completely agree with you. Why can't we look at that item, that card, and see all of the beautiful aspects of it? Why are we so bothered with the maybe one piece or two things about it that we don't like and we have to apologize for them? It's the same reason why when I go out and I pull in every day, I pull in from work, I pull up into the driveway and I look over at my lawn, which I've been trimming and mowing and fertilizing, and I don't see how 98% of it is lush. I see the couple of brown spots and I see the couple of weeds and they bug me. And I say, I got to fix those weeds and those brown spots. So I go over, I pick those weeds, I get the sprinkler, I put it in that little brown spot, and I try to make those brown spots green spots. I don't know why some of us are wired that way. I will tell you this, I don't want to be that way. I don't want to be wired in a way where I see the bad parts over the good parts. If you have strategies, let me know. Is that an issue? It's certainly an issue for me, if I'm being honest with y'all. It's certainly an issue for me. My guy Jay on J Average Vintage Collector says, as for next week's question, I think the biggest issue that needs to be addressed in the hobby right now are the scam artists that seem to be running rampant through the entire hobby, but particularly in Facebook groups. I do buy in the groups because there are some great deals out there, but I don't think I would stray very far for anything of big value unless it was someone that I knew and trusted. I have many people that I have dealt with in the groups over the years and will continue to do those deals. I have also dealt with people out there that have a YouTube channel and will continue to do so. But there are so many people out there that continue to get taken advantage of, and you just must be aware of red flags. It makes me sick to see people fall victim to this. Be careful out there and make sure that you do your due diligence. If it's too good to be true, it just might be. Now, you would think that I planned this. I honestly, I did not plan this. But let's just look at the first two comments and let's look at them together. So the first one says, we're all too busy looking at the negative things. We need to focus on all the positive things, all the wonderful things. And then Jay talks about how he has had all of these positive experiences buying cards on Facebook marketplaces, which, by the way, my fellow card collecting friends, if you are not a member of some of these Facebook marketplace groups, you are missing out on where many of the deals are happening, especially with vintage cards. And many of those vintage deals are specific to certain things. Like there's a Cracker Jack marketplace group, and there's a T206 marketplace group, and then there's a non-sport marketplace group. You are absolutely missing out if you don't have a Facebook account. Make a Facebook account. Get in there, start looking for something. In the comments down below, for those people that aren't in Facebook card groups, okay? Because I'm in a few, not a ton, 8 maybe. Down below in the comments, share maybe your 3, 4, or 5 favorite Facebook card marketplace groups. For the people who aren't in them, who haven't thought about doing it, but it's way better than eBay. It's way better than eBay. And most of the people that are in the group are good. But that does bring us to Jay's point. There are some scam artists. Just like back in the day, there were people who were resealing wax packs after checking the packs and doing fake autographs, which there still are, and trimming cards, which there still are. I think the overwhelming, but see, I'm trying. Watch, I'm trying right here. I think the overwhelming majority of people in this hobby are really, really good people. I really, genuinely, truly believe that. And there are some people who aren't. So the question is, do I, as a collector, allow the less than 1% who are not so great people to prevent me from all these other deals and all these other transactions and all this other joy in the hobby? I mean, look amongst, all of the YouTube channels that, you are a subscriber to. How many of those people would you say, he's not a good person there? That he's a crummy guy. Not that many. How many people do you hate watch? Not that many, would be my guess. So to answer your question, Jay, I agree. I think that when we become aware of a person who is up to no good, we should banish them. And the best way to do that is to work together. Just like at card shows, there aren't a lot of times that there is some sort of theft, but occasionally there is some sort of theft, and it happens. But how many card shows are going on every weekend where there's not theft? But then you hear about one somewhere on the other coast, and it's like gets all the attention. But what about all the shows that didn't have a theft? I believe that the way to run a society is that is a positive, enjoyable society, is we have to have each other's back. When you're at a card show, if you see somebody stealing something, you should say something. I think we should say something. We need to notify each other. If somebody is breaking into my neighbor's house across the street, I'm going to call them, or I'm going to call the police. Or I'm going to go outside and make some noise and alarm them. I'm going to do something, because I would hope that they would do the same for me. So how do we eradicate this sort of behavior? We call it out. We look out for each other. If there are more good people than bad, which I definitely believe that there are, then we have to look out for each other. That's not just a card thing. That's a life thing. And it's absolutely true with cards as well. So you're right, Jay. There are some bad apples out there, but most are good. And the ones that aren't, I think we just have to stick together and call them out. This one says, kids. Kids need an entry point. The future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Packs were 35 or 50 cents in the 80s, and you got a stick of gum to go with it. Whatever it costs for a basic pack of cards now is crazy in comparison, all things considered. Once again, I agree. I mean, all the points that you all are coming up with, I agree with. But I think it even goes further than that. It's not just that packs are expensive and wax is expensive and cards are expensive. My biggest issue personally with breaks, is how these guys will open a pack. They'll flip right past the first 12 cards to the spot where the insert card is, and they will dump those cards in the trash. What does that tell people in the hobby? What does that say about those cards if you're literally tossing them out? If you open a pack with, say, 18 cards, and only one or two of the cards gets put in a top loader, and the other get put in the garbage can, how are we then gonna make there be an entry point for kids? And again, I know there's probably people saying inflation is part of it. In 1987, when a pack was 25 cents, the first packs that I bought were in 1987 and they were 25 cents. What did a house in California go for? Like, I don't know, $80,000? Let's just say it's $100,000. I don't know. And now it's like 7 times that. And packs are 7 times that. So some of it is inflation. But the problem is, we are so in the hobby, so many people are so focused on the massive card and the massive pickup. I mean, I was on with my buddy Jeremy Lee the other day in his national lead up video series, and he said, what basically this question, I mean, that's where this question came from. This question came from Jeremy Lee asking me sort of this question: what can we do to improve the hobby? What can the national do to improve the hobby? What is an issue that we need to resolve in order to make the hobby better? That's where this came from. And my response to him was, we have to remind people that the card doesn't have to be a $50,000 card to be something that's treasured. It's one of the reasons in my monthly pickup video, I don't go, well, make sure it's at least $100 card if you're going to submit it. We have people submit $1 cards every month. And we have people submit $10,000 cards every month. All cards and all editions bring joy and have value. It's one of the reasons I do my pickup video, or not pickup video, my video every month where I look at cards that sold on eBay for under $50. In fact, that's coming out later this week. It's probably gonna be Friday. I'm gonna do my month, every month, I go through eBay sales, year by year, 1950, then 51, then 52, all the way from 1950 to 1969. And I look at cards that sold for under $50. And why? Because we need to continue to celebrate those cards. If we only think the Willy Wonka golden ticket is a card that's worth celebrating, then we are doomed. Because just as this comment says, there are a lot of people that will never pull the Wonka golden ticket card. And does that mean their collection is garbage? There are a lot of people that will never own a card that is worth $1,000 or even $500 or maybe even $300. Does that mean that their collection is no good? Absolutely not. But if all YouTube content and all card showcases are just filled with the high-end stuff only, if there are no dollar boxes, if there are no value boxes, if we don't continue to go, look at this really cool card that was only $15. If we do that, then there are a lot of people that are going to say, I can't participate. We need the hobby to be a hobby that is welcoming to all people, from the highest price point to the lowest price point. It's the same reason why when somebody at work says, hey, Greg, you're a golfer? I didn't know you were a golfer. Let's go golfing. I don't say, well, that depends. What's your handicap? Because if your handicap's not very high, I'm not interested. Could you imagine? You like golf? I like golf. Let's go golf together. I could care. I couldn't care less how good of a golfer you are. Doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is we want to go golfing together. That's the only thing that matters. We have to have we need to do a better job as a hobby of making sure people understand that cards don't have to be expensive and they don't have to be rare in order to be special. What they need to be is meaningful, and meaningful to the person who added it to their collection. That's the only thing that needs to matter. It needs to mean something to them. And I really think that this is a great comment, because we do absolutely focus too much on expensive stuff instead of stuff that makes people happy. This one says, to answer your question, the number one issue is everything focused on gambling, which has been creating an explosion of more cards manufactured and sold and more cards graded and all that stuff. But putting that aside, I spend a lot of time listening to your channel and others that like to talk about vintage cards, specifically cards of players that have long since died. Most of you who are very interested in this are also interested in the history of the games. So I think your number one issue is what can the hobby do to get young people and modern card collectors interested in the histories of the games? A lot of old cards have facts about the players and the games. Most of the newer cards don't have this. If collectors aren't interested in the history, they won't collect vintage cards. If I'm being honest with you, I am part of this problem. I really only collect players I have watched and seen play the games. I find it fascinating that you and a lot of other vintage collectors get so interested in players you could not have seen play. A lot of these people played before you could have even seen them on video or even had it captured with pictures. Thanks for all of your videos. This sort of topic absolutely comes up from time to time. Like, why do you want Ty Cobb cards, Greg? Did you see Ty Cobb play? Greg, how much video have you seen of Ty Cobb playing? And I get that. Listen, I went and saw Aaron Judge play just a couple of nights ago. I saw Aaron Judge play. He's playing right now. It is definitely cool and I definitely see the appeal of wanting an Aaron Judge card. He's a fantastic generational talent, and cards are coming out of packs right now that are very cool looking. I understand that appeal. But what I like also, in addition to that, is I like greatness. I like things that were game changers. I like people who did things that changed things moving forward from that point. I wasn't alive during Lincoln's presidency. I wasn't in Gettysburg when he gave his speech. But I have a lot of respect for Abraham Lincoln. When George Washington helped the United States of America gain its independence, they told George Washington, we want to make you king. We want to make you King George Washington. And he said, are you kidding me? The whole point of what we just did was to not be under a monarchy. It's that everybody is created equal. So no, thanks, but no thanks. I'll be the president. We shouldn't have a king. Dude, that is greatness. Was George Washington a perfect person? Absolutely not. Was Abraham Lincoln a perfect person? Nope. Did they have flaws just like every human? Of course. Were there things during the times that they were alive that were acceptable that wouldn't be acceptable today? 100%. But greatness is greatness. I don't need to have personally had my eyeballs see greatness in order to know greatness. I've seen Tiger Woods play golf. With my own eyes, I've seen him strike a ball. I have seen him make very important putts in his career in person with my own eyes across a short distance. Does that mean I understand that Tiger Woods is great? But because I didn't see that happen in person with Jack Nicklaus, that I don't really know if he was great? I don't think so. I think the point of this comment, though, is not that you have to see somebody to know they were great. And I don't think the point is you have to have seen video and you have to have been there in order to know they were great. I like greatness. When I was watching Michael Jordan, I was like, that's historic. When I watched Tiger Woods, that's historic. There are certain generational talents in sports and in life that you go, that right there, what is happening right there is going to be in the history books, and it's happening right now. That intrigues me. Who steps up and who doesn't in different situations, to me, is interesting. And it's something that I'm curious about, and it's something I like to learn about. I understand the point of this comment, which is kids don't seem to care about history. Kids don't seem to care about history right now. They seem to be caring about whatever is happening right in front of them. I mean, trust me, I'm a high school teacher. I see about 150 kids every single day for well over an hour every single day. And most of them aren't reading Moby Dick. They're not reading, The Great Gatsby. But some are. Some are. Some are reading Gatsby. How do I know? Because one of mine is. I think that maybe sometimes what happens is we see, maybe it goes back to the first question again. We see some people doing certain things, and then we just assume every kid is that way. That's not true, though. I mean, Garrett, Ballpark Memories. What's he, like 22? He's a vintage card dealer. At Strongsville, there were a lot of There were a lot of guys in their 20s that were collecting vintage cards. There are people. We see certain things and we think everybody must be like that. But I don't think that's the case. We have kids right now that are reading science books at home. We have kids right now that are writing software programs at home. We have kids at home that are writing amazing literature and are doing advanced calculus at a young age. There are people doing that. Even though sometimes it doesn't feel like anybody is or anybody cares about this stuff. There are. You just don't see them. Because the things that tend to be highlighted, as was mentioned earlier, it's the negative stuff. I have not given up hope on the future. And I do believe that there is a good chunk of our future leaders that are today's youth that are definitely interested in making things better and learning about history to prevent it from repeating itself. And finally, this one says, the biggest issue is box prices and the makeup of boxes. Box prices are too high and the makeup of boxes is only conducive to buying the whole box and not packs. If a box only has 2 autos or only has a case hit, it makes opening every pack less intriguing because you could be drawing dead, and most, not all, hobby shops won't reveal what has been pulled or lower prices once hits have been pulled. And of course, what you actually get out of those boxes proportionate to price. Kind of hard to disagree. And, that's why a lot of these different manufacturers have a lot of product where the whole box is a pack. I mean, You open a briefcase, a metal briefcase, and inside is one pack with a bunch with a bunch of, foam surrounding it. And you take it out and there's, 5 cards in there or something. It's like, that's a pack. That's not a box. Why are we saying that it's a box or it's a case? It's like a pack. They've gotten to the point where they don't even want to produce the base stuff anymore. So, we're not even going to produce that. It's complete garbage. Again, there's a lot of overlap with this and some of the other comments that I said, but you're right. You're right. I went into a card. I hadn't been into a local card shop in a long time. I went into a local card shop like 2 years ago. And I wanted to buy my brother a couple of packs of Topps for Christmas. And I said, well, I just want to buy a couple of packs. And they were like, we don't sell packs. I'm like, what? What do you mean you don't sell packs? This is a card shop. And he goes, yeah, I know, but the problem is if somebody gets a hit or the auto out of the box, then nobody wants the packs anymore. And then if I don't know if there's been a hit, because maybe they bought the packs and opened them somewhere else, then people ask me, and then if I don't know, they think I'm lying because they think I want them to buy packs that aren't going to have a hit. I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right. And then when we've got scanners that are scanning things to see, what's in the pack before they open it. I saw a thing the other day and they were like, this guy had like Pokemon packs. And he took some sort of scanner and he did something, like he scanned it to tell if it had like a holofoil or hologram card in it. Because I guess those are the better ones. I completely have no idea what I'm talking about. But I guess those are the better ones. So he bought this device on Amazon for like $25. And he could put it over it and hit the button. And it would either beep or not beep if there was like a hologram card in it. Like, no, you don't want that one. You don't want that one. You do want that one. You do want that one. I mean, it's like, what are we doing? It's a problem. It's definitely a problem. And it's, quite frankly, it's one of the reasons I tend to stay away from some modern stuff. Some of the modern cards are absolutely stunning. They're stunning. And when it's a generational talent like an Ohtani or an Aaron Judge, it's not like you're prospect hunting with Shohei Ohtani. You're not prospect hunting with Aaron Judge. I mean, at this point, we know what these guys are, right? We know what they are. So I like the cards, but I haven't bought any wax in well over a year. And I used to occasionally go to Target and I'd buy, a blaster or a hanger box or something. I don't even bother anymore. I just assume they've all been searched. I don't know. It's definitely a problem. All right, guys, my question for next week. My next week question is as follows. What's a topic you'd like to see me or other channels cover? So I get a lot of times, people, oh my gosh, we're talking about grading again? Oh my gosh, we're, doing another SGC reveal? All right. What is the community you want to hear about? What do you guys want there to be content about? Seriously. Do you want more interviews? Do you want more conversations? Who do you want to talk to? Who do you want to hear from? What do you want to hear about? I'm curious what this community is interested in hearing about. Because every video that I ever put out, there's always at least a couple of people that are like, oh my gosh, okay, that's cool. What do we want to hear about? What are all of you interested in? So my question for next week is, what are the topics that we should be focusing on in this hobby? What should be the focus? What are the things that the community wants to hear about? Enough of the negativity stuff. Let's do some positivity stuff. What are we interested in?